You are listening to the Lawyer Stories podcast with host Benny Gold. Lawyer Stories was founded in July 2017 and is an expanding global network of lawyers and law students sharing their personal journeys to the noble profession of the practice of law. Join us on this podcast as we dig deeper into these stories and hear from lawyers and law students from around the world in all areas of the legal profession. Here at Lawyer Stories, we believe that every lawyer has a story. What's yours?
Welcome to the Lawyer Stories podcast with Benny Gold. Today is our 100th episode. We made it to 100. Can you believe it? I'll tell you what, I can. Why? Because I've loved all of our guests and I've discovered a passion for podcasting. That's always a great thing, no matter how old you are, when you can figure out something that you really enjoy doing. And I will tell you what, I love having podcasts. I love being a podcast host. And I really enjoy talking to people about their path to the law. So today we welcome in Jared Russell, a big part of Lawyer Stories for the past few years. I don't have the exact date that we figured it out, but Jared, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, Benny, thanks for having me. I think it was about 2020 when we kind of connected. And like you said, you've really grown this passion for the podcast, which I've kind of helped you start and help you just along the way over these past few years. And it's easy to see your passion for the entire Lawyer Stories community and just how much you care and not only about the brand, but the people as well, because it really is that community that's been pretty awesome to help you grow and kind of help work alongside you the past few years.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you so much. I'm going to more on that in a minute, but February 10th, 2020, I launched our first podcast episode right after our event in Miami with Sidebar of South Florida. Kristen Corpian, if you're out there listening, we had a great time and we wanted to do it again. It was very special, meant a lot to us. We hope to do them in New York, California, Boston, South Florida again. But my sister, Liz Gold, shout out to you, who was on there. I said, hey, Liz, I want to start a podcast. Can you ask me some questions about Lawyer Stories so I can tell everybody what I'm doing, like what my plan is. I had so many questions about like what is Lawyer Stories, and I'm like, you know what, I need a podcast. So at the beginning of 2020, we went into it, and she came on. This was before we even had a YouTube page and recorded on Zoom, and it was really cool. It was great, and then we just kept going with some people that we knew, people that really liked what we were doing with Lawyer Stories, and we asked him to be our guest. Jordan Jones, shout out to you, one of the first guests.
Yeah, one of our first guests. It's been pretty amazing to see just everybody that you've helped kind of along the way and gotten on the show and their stories and producing those and seeing those as well. I mean, every episode just got better and better, and watching you kind
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Connect with these people and help share their stories, not only for themselves and kind of a little bit of a promotion on their side and their great work, but also showing their kind of journey to law and the advice that they have for other attorneys, aspiring attorneys in the field currently that are looking for a bit of inspiration for, maybe why they do it or how they can get better in their practice. So it has been a lot of fun.
For sure. I mean, Gordana Michalaki, who I actually ended up meeting earlier this year in February in Arizona, Adam Zimmerman, you were the first post ever on Lawyer Stories back July 8th, 2017, when we actually launched on Instagram. And Erica Rose, we had a lot of OGs of Lawyer Stories come on the show. So I appreciate everybody. It's been such a crazy ride and totally part of my story. So Jared Russell, just to give more of an intro, he's my creative partner. Jared helped us get to 100 episodes on the Lawyer Stories podcast. We're sitting here today doing episode 100, which is amazing.
Crazy, can't believe it.
Jared is, he loves developing branding and strategy, helping growing a law firm. Tell us what you love to do, Jared.
Yeah, my background is in legal marketing. I'm kind of grown my career in that aspect, helping law firms brand, create websites, develop what their refresh brand would look like in this new century, because it is a passion that I have grown through that kind of introduction, through meeting with clients, seeing what they do for their firm, and making a difference in the world and kind of helping them represent that story. And that's what I started my career in. And then I moved to London recently in October. And now I've started working in the legal tech industry. And I work for a company out here that is very, very innovative in the space. And it's just interesting to see how that all connects as well with, where firms want to go, their business development, their strategy, their marketing, to kind of help establish them in that, in the landscape as a leader in the industry. And it's just been really, blessing to kind of fall into this legal space and the marketing of it, and just kind of growing my career that way. And it's been something that kind of helped guide me to you and Lawyer Stories. And ever since, we've just kind of helped, continue to grow what Lawyer Stories is and the evolving nature of it. That's one of the things that I, being on the show today, wanted to kind of do is, interview you a little bit as well. And that's where, my first question kind of comes in about, sharing your story with the audience, and where has this journey been, if through your eyes, like how have you seen Lawyer Stories grow and develop over the years?
Dude, it's been incredible. Like, first of all, it started as a passion project. I turned to my girlfriend at the time, now my wife with 2 kids. We were at a bar waiting for our table, and I said,
What year is this? What year is this?
What's that?
What year was this?
Oh man, it was 2017 when I started Lawyer Stories. So it was probably the summer or the spring, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to start this thing called Lawyer Stories." I really want to hear like lawyers speak from a narrative perspective of what they think of the law or what they think of certain decisions, and that would have been interesting, of course, in today's Roe v. Wade days. But I really wanted to hear how lawyers thought about their jobs and their journey to the profession, because we all are sociologists at heart, and I feel everybody has a purpose for going to law school and a reason why. And she was so supportive. Karen's super supportive. Karen with a C, Caryn, and she's amazing. She was like, "You should start it. There's no cost." And so I reserved the Instagram name, and I started with a few brave souls. So, shout out to everybody who was like my first 5 people who decided to submit their stories. And we went slowly, and we went really slow. We told the stories. It was very organic, it was a great thing. And so that's how we really started. And, I learned how to use Instagram a bit. I learned how to, I don't want to say manipulate, but how it works, because I wasn't a big Instagrammer at first. And then we kept going from there. So
Yeah, it does take a while,
really
I think.
Started.
Yeah, and I think it does take a while to get used to each one of those platforms. And that's where I met you, through Instagram. And we've kind of since then have grown Lawyer Stories into several more channels and getting it more active on other social media accounts, and kind of, like you said, building this podcast and developing the brand standards more, and the website, and the value that it brings to the community. And that's one of the things that I really enjoy. And this kind of allowed me to see what you're looking to do, and your passion for this isn't just to, be on screen or kind of do the bare minimum, but really go out, far and beyond for the Lawyer Stories community, providing that value. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, I mean, well, first, I'm gonna totally go back to that question, because first I want to just I want to give you props, man, because over the last few years, Jared has dealt with me. I would send him. I would be like, "Hey, can you work on my Shopify page? We have a Lawyer Story store called Remedies, and I'm like, hey, can you fix up these designs? Can you make me an image for this day that I could post on Instagram?" Jared has been there in and out of anything that I needed. And let me tell you what's interesting about that, and very powerful tool that we might not have had 30 years ago, was I've actually never met Jared in person. Jared and I connected. He DM'd me one day and he said, "Hey, what would you think of this logo instead of the logo you're using? I'm in Texas. This is what I do." And I was sitting there and I'm like, "Okay, can you do something like this? That might not work for me, but maybe this." And we connected. And you know what? 3, 4 years later, we still haven't met, but Jared produced literally up to 100 of my podcasts. He helped get me there. So that's an incredible thing. So I want to really talk about the the importance and the strength of social media. Like, we don't live in this era back in the day where you need to talk to your neighbor, like your neighbor needs to do something. Like, we live in a day where you can literally go out there, present what you love to do, find your community out there, and they don't need to be local. They don't need to be somebody who lives in the town or the town over. Like, you can find your community living in Texas while you're in Massachusetts. Like, it's a beautiful thing. Social media. People say, "Oh, well, social media is negative. Like, you could see what your ex-girlfriends, ex-boyfriends, like your, like it can be a very disheartening thing. You could find out a lot of things that you don't want to see, but that's not really the case if you are working with it positively. Like, um, we found our community, just like I found a community on Lawyer Stories. Like, Jared came through, and we were able to work towards this common goal. With that said, I also want to give a shout out to David Yaz at Pod 617 in Boston, who is locally producing the podcast now and doing a great job, while Jared is actually working as a creative director and other pieces of Lawyer Stories. So we're super excited about that because Jared has a lot of
there's
knowledge.
so much coming out. It's very exciting. I know you kind of touched on your journey in the power of social media, and it has allowed kind of Lawyer Stories to provide a platform for a lot of lawyers. So even though we've never met, and now that I'm living in London, it's been this kind of seamless process of the vision that you have and what you want to do with the community, and even adding on some other pieces of the puzzle, the website, kind of this podcast, this membership platform that you're thinking about starting in order to provide really high value to the true Lawyer Stories fans and members. Is there anything that you want to share about that kind of next journey?
About the membership?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think what we're ready to do after having a presence on social media, and by the way, like, regarding social media, it can be a copycat platforms, but for us, I DM literally everybody that we feature on Lawyer Stories, and that's almost 2,000 people. I connect with legal marketers. I DM with attorneys. We are going to start a membership community. We're going to offer a lot of different things that will bring people value every day. We want to connect people. We want to make people feel like they have support and networking in the legal community. And that's what we do. I will literally give you a warm introduction to anybody you see on Lawyer Stories that you want to be introduced to, because that's what I like to do. That's the heart of it. And I'm so excited for like what's to come with Lawyer Stories. We have an amazing website, by the way, that Jared built, thelawyerstories.com. Go check it out. Jared, tell us more about the website.
Yeah, there was just such a plethora of content that you had, and you, when we met each other, you were really focused on Instagram, and that's where the brand really has lived. And there's just a lot of great content. People who, you did have a website at the time, but kind of merging those two, and especially at that same time thinking about this podcast, talking about that idea, they were both kind of growing at the same time. It took us a while to do one before the other, but they both were aligned in the thought that, bringing some extra value to the community, kind of providing a platform for them to, once we do have that kind of membership, that was very far out. And now, we're here kind of actually talking about the membership and what we can do with it. But the idea with the website was to kind of have content being rolled out into that, getting it to be a natural kind of extension of the brand, landing space. Because websites, I used to build websites for law firms, and it really is the digital office space of like a company. And so just having that for Lawyer Stories as a brand to kind of build that out, and also provide that central place, besides Instagram. So it is more of an extension. We've now grown into other social media platforms. I mean, you're even doing some TikToks, which is great.
I'm trying, man.
Yeah. If you haven't seen them, go check out the TikToks, because
Thanks,
that's a really good spot too, where we're really sharing just those great clips of the episodes. And one of the things that Ben asks every guest is, what advice do you have for lawyers? What advice do you have for attorneys? It's this really good source of information from people in the field, successful people in the field, people who had their kind of ups and downs in the space. And so I think it's just great that you provide that outlet, that platform for people to share their story.
Thank you so much for saying that. And our 5-year anniversary is coming up, July 8th, which we're super excited about. It's crazy. I mean, I just want everybody to know that we did start this organically. We've never touched anything that was inorganic, and like I love connecting with everybody. It actually is one of my high points is being able to connect to attorneys by email because one person saw another person on Lawyer Stories. I mean, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be your intermediary. And look, we're not sitting here saying I'm going to get you cases. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that by connecting with other lawyers, that can be a referral source. And I think it's very important to connect with other lawyers around the country, around the world. And you know what? I know hundreds of them, maybe thousands, and I'm excited to do that for everybody.
Yeah, and I'll just add one piece to that. It's a lot of people sometimes think when I meet somebody, I need to, or if the only reason I want to network with somebody is to get a case from them, but that's by far the reason. There are many more. You can learn how to get more cases, more higher value cases. They might have a problem similar to you and have a guideline or a map for how you can get past that, find a solution, and then kind of enhance your practice, not just get more cases, but really get more value out of the work that you're doing. And that's really the kind of golden nugget that I always see with Lawyer Stories and all the podcast episodes. So it's been great. I'm excited to kind of continue the growth of this and share more information with attorneys. So tell me, we touched on how we got connected through social media, Instagram, where you really started this thing. And I think when I was around, you had about 25,000 followers, and you've recently passed 50,000 followers. How's that kind of made you feel?
Right. I mean, that's really cool. And I will say, we don't do anything crazy. We don't attach any like weird apps to our Instagram. We don't do anything like not organic. I've literally like followed Gary Vee's way of going in and like, making people aware that we're there. Like I don't want people to I don't want to go in there and do anything like odd. Like I don't want to put anything on there that's gonna like get our account hacked, and I don't do anything that's gonna be weird. But I go in there and I love to visit other sites that are lawyers. I love to see solo practitioners. I love to see people that are really trying to put themselves out there in social media because it's so important in this day and age. So passing 50,000 followers, it's cool. It's good. I mean, there's nothing really to say about it. It's nice. I would love to know every 50,000 follower personally. I'd like to shake all their hands. Although like COVID, so I probably wouldn't. But yeah, it's cool, man. It's nice to have a big amazing, following. It's nice to have. It's all about awareness for Lawyer Stories. I want every attorney, because I think attorneys would be really, really grateful to know about what we do here at Lawyer Stories.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Being a part of the platform. I'm not a lawyer myself, but I already, and working with you on the brand, I see other non-lawyers or even aspiring lawyers kind of interact with the brand and really get that network, that passion, that community. And you're a big driver of that. And it is very easy to see like how much you care about each and every individual community member of Lawyer Stories.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I do. I like, it's social media is interesting. I live here in Central Mass. I have 2 kids, I have a wife, and I have a job 9 to 5, which 8:30 to 5, which is incredible. I love my job and I love doing this on the side. But I follow people's stories sometimes and I see what they're doing. And it's like, okay, this person's doing this tonight. Yeah, they're up to this tonight. And it feels like I'm part of their life in a way. And Lawyer Stories wants to be part of people's lives. I mean, I love seeing everything that people are doing. I feel like it's an interesting community. It really is.
And you kind of even mentioned it there, and it's something that you do is you really share others' lives with everyone in the community. And that's one of the things that, it's been nice to see, for myself, and I'm sure for the whole community is where people come from and how they get to being a lawyer and what they use that profession to
Right.
do and make the world a better place. And that's one of the things you always ask people. And I'm curious, what was your lawyer story, your journey to
Wow.
law?
Jared, that's a huge question.
You ask everybody else, so it's time for you to
Yeah,
hear
no,
mine.
that's a great question. I really appreciate it. I went to UMass Amherst, which and I was a legal studies major, which I loved because it was law and society. And I was like, I'm going to do something with law and society, like even if I'm a lawyer. And so here's my law and society piece. It's lawyer stories, right? So I really feel like it connects to what I did at UMass Amherst. But when I went to law school, it was sort of difficult. Like I probably wish I had a couple years more um, to participate in class and to do those sorts of things. But my lawyer story, it's a whole nother episode. If people really want to hear it, they can call me, or they can let me know they want to hear it on a podcast, and I'll let them know. But I will say this: like, I truly believe that my story led me to what I'm doing today, and that's doing something with sociology and the law. Being a UMass Amherst graduate with legal studies, having a law degree, and having a podcast and a big legal brand, global, that is able to connect people and share people's stories. I believe everything led to that moment. So, regardless of my particular story, I do think that I'm here for a reason with lawyer stories.
Yeah, and you do touch on your background in many episodes, especially early on. So if people want to hear that, I would recommend definitely going back and checking out those episodes as
Thank you.
well.
Yeah.
You've shown like such a growth in not only kind of your professional career, but your involvement in lawyer stories and what the platform has become. We've worked on so many projects together, starting a newsletter, creating the website, reaching 50,000 followers on Instagram. It is amazing. Like, where do you see future lawyer stories in the future?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Obviously with Jared by my side doing um, creating a community, Lawyer Stories isn't going to be a brand name. It's going to be something that every lawyer knows about. When there's a Lawyer Stories event in people's area, they're going to go to it in their region. We want to connect lawyers to lawyers, and we want to break people down and humanize the profession. We want people to talk about why they became a lawyer. It's different than any other profession. Lawyers are very unique. They have ways and reasons why they became a lawyer. So we want to share those, and we want to amplify those to everybody out there. So we see this going in a direction where somebody sees, oh, lawyer stories, yeah, I'm a part of that, and I'm going to go to that event, or I'm going to go to that online event, or I'm going to contribute my story online to let everybody else know where I came from.
Yeah, and that's amazing. I know we used to do a few events in the past. You threw some in person before COVID. We
Yeah,
did a few online. I think what we've done since then is really kind of look internally, figure out the direction of the brand. Lawyer Stories is a platform and this membership idea. And I think it'll be exciting to get some more of those virtual networking sessions going.
yeah,
Maybe even doing some speaker panels or some live lawyer stories. I think that'd be amazing for people
yeah,
to
man. I mean,
connect with.
Lawyer Stories is going to be the biggest connection network that you ever did see. Like, we want it to be something where people come together based on their story. People are like so similar, and I think a lot of people don't realize that. But like, people from anywhere you cut it, like they're similar.
Yeah, and it's true. You talked about humanizing the profession. I think there's so many really pure and good reasons why people become lawyers, and you can do a lot of great work. And not only that, but it's a difficult process to become a lawyer. And when you do, you're very committed to that profession and the certain area that you may fall in. And that can, weigh a lot on people. It can be a big time commitment. And so I really commend all the lawyers out there. And it's been great to kind of work with them, share their stories
Amazing,
and
amazing.
yeah, provide that platform for them because it is something that people want to hear. They want to get, involved, connect, network, learn from each other,
Yeah.
praise each other, support each other. It's an amazing space to be. So yeah, definitely. It's great too, because I feel like with Lawyer Stories, it's grown so organically. People share with their friends, with their peers. It's a great place to kind of get advice. And that's one of the things too, that as a, younger marketer and growing in the ranks and seeing law firms and working with smaller law firms or working with larger law firms, it's everybody needs a bit of help or direction. And it's great to kind of provide that through Lawyer Stories and value that you've kind of, ever since you started the platform, have always wanted to give. So it's been nice to kind of contribute to that and give that to the legal community.
Yeah, thank you so much. I hope everybody recognizes Jared Russell behind the scenes.
Well, it's all because of you, Benny. You're the face of the organization.
Has done so much, and hopefully, one day we'll get to meet in person. I mean,
and then do an in-person event or something. But it is amazing because I see you connect with every person, and every time you have someone on the show, you really get to know them, and even people that you feature on the Instagram account. It's a great place to go get some inspiration. So, Benny, we've talked about your Lawyer Story, the community, kind of the growth of the business, the brand, where Lawyer Story's future is headed. But I do have one more question for you, and it is the one that you ask every guest as well. What advice do you have for lawyers, right? You could say aspiring law students, current law students, or even people in practice. What advice do you have?
Stay the course, man. Stay the course. It takes a long time to get to where you want to be. It's not going to happen the first year. It might happen the second year. Just stay the course. Put your head down and work, and don't think about it. It's going to be hard. You're going to have hard days, but you'd have hard days at any other job you decide to take. Just stay the course. Work the days. Learn as much as you can. Ask questions. Anybody who won't answer a question, you probably don't want to be working for them. So ask the questions and keep going, and you got it. Cheers.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's a great piece of advice. Definitely having that persistence and even that intellectual curiosity in your career will go a long way and help you get far. Benny, I just got to say, it's been amazing speaking with you today, and I'm very honored to help you get to a 100 episodes, be your guest, and rightfully so, kind of have you as the guest for this 100th episode. Are there any other, final thoughts, parting thoughts that you want to share with the audience?
No, I really appreciate you, man. You took control of this interview very well. I mean, 100 episodes is incredible. When you find something that you really love to do it. I love to have people on my my podcast. I love to ask them about their life. I love to ask them about their legal career, about why they love the law. And Jared, to you, man, you're very talented. Lawyer Stories really appreciates you. I appreciate you. And I can say it as a friend now. I've known you for so long. It's really cool. I could just text Jared and he's there. He's a very reliable person. I would recommend him to anybody if you're looking for a content person or a marketer. Jared's a great guy.
Thanks. I really appreciate the praise, Benny, and I have to throw it right back at you. I'm excited to see where Lawyer Stories goes.
Yeah.
I think everybody part of the community is very thankful to you as well, and
thank you.
What you do for myself, for all of us.
Thank you.
A huge thank you back.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and thanks for coming on today. And we do everything. Lawyer Stories didn't start as a business. It started as a passion project, and I want everybody to know that it was something from the heart that I truly wanted to understand, because I struggled with it too. I have a law degree, and I wanted to know where everybody else was. So Jared, thanks for leading the way, man, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, Benny. Again, so great talking to you, and hello to everybody out there who is part of the Lawyer Stories community. If I've had a part in sharing your story, it's been my pleasure. So I'm excited for what's to come, and really happy to be here again. So thank you, Benny. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, Jared, stay right there, and wherever you are in the world today, enjoy yourselves. Cheers.